Hello, I kind of wanted to make a video recap of a hand that I played the other day. Uh, this hand was played on ACR at 5 cent, 10 cent, no limit. It's a spot that I think I played kind of poorly, so I wanted to make a recap just demonstrating kind of the lessons to be learned from the situation that I found myself in. So it starts with us in the cutoff getting dealt ace 3 suited. We open for 2.5 big blinds, and big blind is going to come along, and we are going to a flop of King Jack 8 rainbow. Villain is going to check to us, and we are going to bet small. Now this flop bet's kind of interesting. I think you can maybe argue for not betting here, checking back, just because I think this board does actually hit the big blind's range quite well. I think the big blind will be calling with hands like maybe king queen, uh, queen jack, queen 10 for the straight draw, 10-9 for a straight draw. So I think that this is going to hit the villain's range quite well. In fact, we can even expect ourselves to be check raised here with hands. The villain might have like king jack, maybe king 8 suited, jack 8 suited. I think two big blinds is still kind of fine here. I think that this is gonna fold out some hands that might be beating us, such as smaller pocket pairs, or maybe some weird like ace 7 suited that big blind might have called with. So I think we are risking a little to fold out those hands. So I think two big blinds is still kind of fine. I think this could be better, but this isn't quite really the point of the hand. So big blind calls. Go to river queen of spades, which is going to give us a gut shot to the Broadway draw with a 10. It's also going to give us backdoor spades. Villain's going to check to us once again. We are going to bet 3/4 pot here. And this 3/4 pot bet, now that villain has checked twice, we're kind of trying to target some maybe marginal hands. Some things like maybe pocket nines, pocket tens, some weak jacks, things like maybe jack 10 maybe. Although Jack 10 and King 10 are open ended. But I think there are some weaker one pairs, Ace 8 suited, that we can expect to get folds from here. And when we do get called, I think we are kind of building our implied odds here for if we hit our flush, we are going to win a bigger pot. So it's a bit of a combination of exercising our fold equity against moderate hands and exercising a bit of implied odds against some better hands that will call us. We're going to go to a river here. Villain will call, and we're going to go to a river here. River's going to be 8 of spades, bringing in the nut flush for us on a paired board. Villain's going to go ahead and check to us once again. We're going to go for a full pot size bet, trying to target hands like king queen, king jack, some two pairs, maybe some weirdly played ace king that might have gotten sticky here. Yeah, so I think that this pot size bet is fine. We can expect to get called by many worse hands. However, villain's gonna go ahead and shove all in here, and now we're in a pretty tricky spot. I think that in the moment, I think I might have just thrown my hands up and said, you know, I have the nut flush. If he has it, he has it. And I threw in the call, and villain is gonna flip over queen 8 suited for a runner runner full house to beat our runner runner straight. Runner runner flush, sorry. Um, yeah, I think it's really easy to look at spots like this and just get kind of stuck in the mentality of, you know, we had the nut flush, they had a full house, it's just a cooler. But I think that there is room to grow and improve from spots like this, particularly if we look at this river shove here from our opponent. It's quite a big shove, facing an already big bet. And what we need to realize is that in situations like this where you bet big and then your opponent bets even bigger, it's very unlikely that a human being is going to be doing this with just any random two cards, just hoping that you have nothing. Um, they're going to have something here. And when we think about what that something they can have is, well, first we think about what bluffs can he have? The best bluff in this situation is going to be something like the lone ace of spades to block any nut flushes. But we're literally holding the ace of spades, so he can't have that, meaning that bluffs are really unlikely here. What about worse hands that he might be betting for value? Well, worse hands they might be betting for value is primarily going to be worse flushes. Maybe ace 10 somehow for the Broadway, but even ace 10 might not go all in on a three flush paired board. So we're really only looking at worse flushes, and with the king of spades and the queen of spades on the board, it's really hard to think about the worst flushes that he might have. It's really hard to kind of come up with combinations. Jack 10 of spades is the technically the best hand that we beat here. And even that hand, when facing a pot-sized bet on the river, might not feel confident enough to go all in. So, and even if it does, even if Jack 10 of spades goes all in and Jack 9 of spades goes all in, that's two combinations of hands. There's actually more combinations that give villain a full house here. Things like Jack 8, King 8, Queen 8, pocket eights. So, with all that in mind, and also given that this was played on ACR and I've perceived ACR to be a bit of a nittier player pool, I think we can kind of assume here that he's really not going all in with a hand that's worse than ours, or if he is, it's not happening at a high enough frequency to make this call profitable. And I think situations like this are really the 1 to 2% edges that separate someone who's like break even or slightly winning from someone who's really crushing the game. So I think it is important to look at these spots and say, like, that wasn't a cooler. I think I could have gotten away from that. So yeah, I just want to make this hand to kind of demonstrate this kind of lesson that I guess I learned here. I hope you enjoyed.